I am a country girl from the hills of Tennessee. I grew up on a farm with my grandparents, and my grandfather was a Korean Vietnam War veteran. Rock bottom is just a moment, and I was going to bounce back. Hi, my name is Charlynda Scales. I'm a mom, I'm an author, a disabled military veteran.
Your host of the Trampoline Effect.
To say to yourself, what now? Maybe you're in the hills of a painful divorce. You're navigating a small business. You're a single parent, maybe a disabled veteran. Here's the one thing I do know about rock bottom. You're not meant to stay there. It is a moment for you to understand that you are about to hit your trampoline. And that's why I created this podcast. This podcast are action steps and encouragement for you to bounce back. I have been there. I have seen the depths of rock bottom, and I did not stay there, and neither will you. So join me on this journey together. Let's jump. I've owned several small businesses, and I have experienced every type of rock bottom you can imagine. And it is a matter of when. And that's why I wrote my book, Rock Bottom Has a Trampoline, to give those instructions and really the raw truth of what life is like owning a business. I'm not currently one of those gabillionaires with a yacht and a Bugatti. I drive a Honda. But I wanted to make sure that while this journey was still relatable, while I still am very much connected to that roller coaster of ups and downs that everyday people like you are experiencing, I want to show you how I was able to bounce back, give you those steps that you can take, not overwhelming, and walk you through it each step together. I am a country girl from the hills of Tennessee. I grew up on a farm with my grandparents, and my grandfather was a Korean Vietnam War veteran. He also had invented a sauce in 1956 that is now known as the company Mutt Sauce, LLC. His call sign, Mutt, was for his ability to blend in anywhere, and I inherited that recipe when I was on active duty in the Air Force. He has since passed, and I've had 11 years as the founder of that company. I wrote the book to tell those stories behind the scenes. One in particular was when I was at what you call the height of the success of Mutt Sauce. We had just won this national award, and they had sought 3 veteran-owned businesses across the country that they can give funding and mentorship to. And for me, I had been working so long through different rock bottoms. By that point, I had been on Shark Tank. I had been on national TV. I was still trying to figure out what was next. What am I really supposed to be doing with this company? Is someone going to invest in this company? So I found myself getting mentorship not only from Bob Evans, but also from a shark. After 4 years, I'd gotten rejected 1 year from Shark Tank, kept going, and 4 years later was sitting across from the people shark, Damon John. They gave me $25,000 in funding. So on the surface, everything was going great. I couldn't have been more quote unquote successful than that moment in my business. But what was happening behind the scenes was completely different. I had been in a marriage for over 5 years, been in the relationship for 10. And I had told everyone how happy I was to be a military spouse and also an entrepreneur. Rock bottom can happen concurrently with great moments. So I was navigating being on television as a Bob Evans Heroes of CEOs contest winner, at the same time of navigating being in an empty apartment, starting my life over as a single person. I was not prepared to do any of that. But in those moments, great things can still happen. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. There's a clarity that comes with a rock bottom moment. And the reason why this is a journey is because it's a journey to self-actualization. Self-actualization is becoming okay with who you are, with your purpose. It's an acceptance process. It is getting rid of the need for validation from other people, from society. And sometimes you and we're moving so fast that we can't even see how distracted we are. We can't even see how much noise there is all around us. You can't think straight. And sometimes rock bottom looks like a depression, some sort of emptiness and loneliness. And I found myself in that empty apartment with no furniture, sitting on a cot that I had taken from the garage. And my mother had called me and she was checking on me. And she said, "You're going to make it." At that point, I didn't really believe it. And then I got another phone call. And I think this phone call and my mother trying to encourage me past rock bottom is what did it. The editor of a prominent magazine had called me to congratulate me on making the cover. This magazine was going to be in every base around the world. It was celebrating the accomplishments of military spouses. And at that moment, I said, I am not qualified. I spilled everything that was going on in my life. And she said, "This is bigger than you." When she explained to me what she was trying to do of telling the story of the heroism and the outstanding nature of the work of military spouses, it became clear. Rock bottom is just a moment. And I was going to bounce back. So there's what the sender sends out and what the receiver receives. And in that moment, I received, if you believe in something bigger than yourself, rock bottom has a trampoline. So wherever you are right now in your rock bottom moment, I want to arm you with 3 things that you can do to start the process of your trampoline, of your bounce back. First, you have to do the hard work of facing the rock bottom moment. The first thing you want to do when you're at rock bottom sometimes is pretend like you're not there. Pretend like these bills aren't here. Pretend like you are not in this empty apartment. Pretend like the business is not struggling as bad as it really is. And it can feel like, so when you're in these moments, it can feel overwhelming. You can feel defeated. But the first step in conquering it is to write it down and face it. Look at it. Confront it. Next, you're going to do almost like when the editor called me. You're going to pinpoint what is good about this rock bottom moment. My life was chaos. It was all the time interviews, phone ringing, thinking of not only my day, but someone else's day and the steps that I had to take to stay two steps ahead. That's a lot of stress, especially as a parent. You have everyone's checklist in your head. But you have to think, when the world hits the brakes, it's for a reason. Take inventory of the reason why you're being halted right now. Do you need to take a good look at your business processes? Do you need to take a hard look at your finances? Do you need to reevaluate if the circle that is surrounding you is the right circle? Full stop can be a blessing if you let it. Next, you need to see past rock bottom. That is when you have to open up and really accept that this is bigger than you. Because if you feel like you're in charge of everything and all things, that rock bottom moment will lead to some serious despair and loneliness that is hard to find your way out of. So it's almost like the light at the end of the tunnel. Even if you don't know what's outside the tunnel, You need to visualize the fact that you're going to drive out of it. And once you do that, you start to gain the hope that you're going to need to tackle it. Map it out. What does your ideal life look like after this divorce? What does your ideal business look like if you were to get it restructured so you can get some funding and some sales? What would it look like if you did hire someone to help you? All those things, those tools will help start this process of getting you to self-actualization. That is the goal. I hope these 3 steps have helped you get started on this, and meet me for the next conversation.